The Feast of Empty Laughter. Long ago in the great kingdom of Ubini, there lived a man named Abefo. His barns overflowed with yam, his kraals with cattle, his rooms with gold and cowries. The elders said, his wealth is like the great river Osh, it never runs dry. But listen well, children of the fire, a man may have barns filled with yam, yet his compound may echo with hunger. Abefo was known across villages for feasts. Drummers beat the talking drum until the moon grew weary. Praise singers filled his ears with honeyed words. Palm wine spilled like rivers into calabashes. Yes, he was rich. Yes, he was honored. But in his own homestead? Silence. For while Abefo danced with chiefs and strangers, his little son Kuma lay each night in emptiness, waiting for a father who never came. That evening, when the moon hid her face behind clouds, Abefo left yet another feast, his belly heavy, his head weary of wine. Ah, he sighed, I need only rest. He entered his compound, eager for silence. But silence, my children, sometimes carries secrets. That night, silence would speak. The house of quiet walls, the drums of the feast faded into the night. The roasted maize sellers packed their wares. The market grew still. Abefo stepped into his great compound, high walls, tall gates, riches inside. But tonight, stillness. The kind of stillness that makes the skin prickle. He loosened his robe, thinking, at last, peace. But before his breath could settle, a hand from the shadows grabbed his mouth. Abefo's heart jumped like a goat before the slaughter. His hand rose to strike. But listen, a trembling whisper froze him. Do not make a sound, master, or the spirits may claim what you love most. You say, there was no thief, no enemy. It was Ngozi, the quiet maid, no older than 20 harvests. She moved about the house like the wind, unseen, unheard. Tonight, her eyes were wild, her breath fast. Abefo pushed her away. Madness, you silence me in my own house. Her whisper was sharp as a spear. Master, if you call out, your son may not return from the land of dreams. And in that moment, silence became heavy, like thunder before rain. The woman of shadows, now hear this. Ngozi was a woman of shadows. She swept the compound like the wind. She cooked, she cleaned, she bowed. But her voice? Rarely heard. Yet that night, she spoke boldly with fear and fire in her eyes. Your son Kuma, she said, does not sleep like other children. Each night, when the moon sits high, he rises. His eyes are open, but his spirit is not here. He walks, master. He walks between this world and the world of dreams. If startled, his soul may scatter like frightened birds. The children cry. Abefo's heart pounded. You lie, he hissed. But Ngozi shook her head. Would I risk my place for lies? Night after night, I stayed behind after my chores. I guided him back. Tonight, he almost reached the stairs that drop like a cliff. I caught him before the spirits did. Abefo staggered back. Wealth he had. Peace he had. But this truth, it pierced like the hunter's spear. And he knew for the first time that the richest man in Ubini was poorer than the quiet maid who guarded his son. The secret of the sleeping one, listened closely, for the spirits moved that very moment. Soft, soft, footsteps echoed in the corridor. Abefo turned. His son Kuma appeared, eyes wide open, yet blind. His feet padded slowly. His arms hung loose. His face carved like wood. Abefo's breath caught. His boy, his heir, walking like one touched by spirits. Ngozi's hand caught his arm. Do not shout. Call gently. If you frighten him, his soul may be lost. So Abefo, the man whose voice once thundered at feasts, bent low. His arms stretched. His voice fell soft like rainfall. Kuma, oh my son, come. Your father is here. Step, step, step. The boy swayed. The night held its breath. Then, he stumbled forward into his father's arms. Abefo's tears fell hot. And Kuma whispered, barely awake, I was looking for you. My children, wealth cannot buy sweeter words than these. The forgotten child. When Kuma returned to his mat, Abefo sat heavily, his robe falling around him. He turned to Ngozi. Why carry this alone? Ngozi's hands folded. Because, master, I thought it did not matter to you. The listener's sigh. Her words cut deeper than spears. Did she truly believe he cared nothing for his only child? I care, he said hoarsely. But Ngozi shook her head gently. Children do not feel care through words. They feel it through your shadow at dusk, your hand in the morning, your laughter by the fire. That is what they know. I hear the wisdom. Abefo bowed his head. For the first time he saw, Wealth can hire servants, but it cannot buy a father's presence. That night, the rich man understood. He was poor in the one thing that mattered most. The edge of the stairs another night came. And again soft footsteps. Kuma rose. Eyes open yet far away. His body moved toward the wooden stairs that dropped like a cliff. Ha! Abefo's heart thundered. Ngozi whispered urgently, "Do not frighten him. Guide him with love." So Abefo stepped forward, voice shaking yet tender. "Kuma, my son, come. I am here." Step, step. The boy swayed. The edge yawned like a hungry pit. But then, slowly as though hearing a distant drum, Kuma turned and walked straight into his father's waiting arms. The boy sighed deeply. "I found you." And Abefo, tears on his cheeks, whispered back, "And I will not be lost again." That night, the richest man in Ubini discovered a treasure cowries cannot buy, his child's embrace. The words that cut deeper than spears later, as firelight flickered on the walls, Abefo faced Ngozi. "You saved him. How can I thank you?" But she shook her head. "I did not do it for thanks. I did it because no child should wander alone." Abefo studied her, humbled. "You speak like an elder." Ngozi lowered her eyes. "When I was a child, my mother worked nights. I waited by the door, not for gifts, not for food, but to hear her voice when she returned. That was enough." Her voice trembled. "Your son waits at that door, master. Even if you do not see it." Her words pierced Abefo deeper than any insult from rival chiefs. That night he saw the truth. A child does not measure wealth in cattle or in yam. A child measures wealth in footsteps beside him. And Abefo vowed he would no longer be absent. The lesson of the hearth from that night, the compound changed. At dawn, instead of rushing to markets, Abefo sat by the hearth, sharing millet cakes with Kuma. He stumbled while tying his son's wrapper and the boy laughed. Sweeter than the praise of chiefs. The villagers whispered, "The mighty Abefo now walks his son to market school? Wonders will never end." But Abefo no longer cared for whispers. For the first time he felt riches inside his chest. Evenings found him listening to stories. He learned the rhythm of bedtime tales. His house, once silent, now rang with laughter. And in the corner, Ngozi watched quietly, her heart full. She had not given them wealth, but something beyond measure, the bond of father and son. The keeper of the night one evening, as stars filled the sky, Abefo found Ngozi preparing to leave. "You go already?" "He sleeps," she said softly. "My work is done." Abefo's eyes softened. "You did more than work. You gave me back my son." But Ngozi shook her head. "No, master. I only kept watch until you came. A child does not need a hero. He needs his father." Her words sank deep. Abefo bowed his head. From that day, though still master of great wealth, Abefo became a humble student of fatherhood. And Ngozi, the quiet maid, faded into shadows once more, the keeper of the night, content to see love reborn. The promise of dawn that night, as moonlight bathed Ubini, little Kuma stirred. His voice was soft as the rustle of leaves. "Father, will you be here when the sun wakes?" Abefo kissed his brow. "Yes, my son. I will be here. This is my vow." At dawn, the house was no longer stone and silence. It was a home alive with laughter, crumbs on the table, footsteps in the halls. The tale spread across the land. The wealthiest man is not he whose barns overflow with yam, nor he whose cowries fill the pot. The wealthiest man is he whose child knows his presence and feels his love. So the elders say, and so we remember, a father's cowries may build a mansion, but his footsteps build a home. Like and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the video. What do you think about Ngozi? Do you she should have left like that? Drop a comment below.